Hello, deliberate strength. All right, I am going to be going over our group strength B side of our program. So this will be the B side. We've already gone over the A. So I am just going to do a recording of it, going through the movements. You can pause throughout when you start to do one section at a time. But then this way you've got some cueing, some coaching, and some feedback as you go. So as you have your program in front of you, the first part is going to be the power core mobility. So pick one of these exercises and we're going to be working for 6 minutes in this first section. So you can start your timer for 6 minutes. We've got 3 different things. So we're going to be doing either a skater jump stick or you can do the double skater jump stick. So that is going to be where you are skater jump, so I'm jumping laterally, and I want to try to stick the landing. So I want to try to land flat-footed and stick, and I'm going to try to push, and I'm going to try to get as far as I can, push and stick and land. Push and stick and land. If you want to, double skater jump, you can go one side, so push, stick, or push, stick. So a double and into a stick. So you'll stick the landing, hips are back, try not to wobble too much, so pause and hold and stick your landing for a little bit, and then go into the other side. So you'll do 4 on each leg, so 8 total sticks, and then you'll go right into a tall plank with a shoulder tap. So tall plank, making sure my wrist is stacked underneath my shoulder, and my hips, I want to kind of rotate and tuck them up towards my chest. So hands are right underneath my shoulders, legs go straight back. I'm in a nice solid plank position. My back is nice and flat, so I'm here, nice and solid, okay? If we're having a hard time, or if that's challenging enough to just hold a tall plank, stay there for 30 seconds. Or if you want to add a little more, you can add that shoulder tap. Okay, so the wider your legs are in that stance, the easier it'll be. Or the more help and assistance you'll get. The narrower your feet are, the harder it will get, okay? So tall plank, hands are stacked underneath my shoulders. I'm in a nice solid plank. The closer my hands are, the easier it'll be as well to be on 3 limbs at one time. So I'll tap, switch, tap, switch, tap. Again, stay slow and controlled on that. You don't want your hips moving side to side. So I don't want, if I start to feel like I'm doing this and my body's shifting side to side in order to tap my hand to my shoulder, narrow your hands and just stick with a 30-second tall plank until you feel like you're ready to create a ton of core stability and then go into those shoulder taps, okay? So you're gonna do 6 taps each side on that, and then we'll do a 90-90 hip stretch. So both legs are looking in 90, okay, so I should be able to look at them. I'm going to sit up nice and tall, turn my torso over my front leg, and I'll sit here in a 90-90 stretch. For those, I can lean in just a little bit, and then I'll open up, and I'll go 90-90 on my other side, okay? Getting a good hip stretch in there on both sides. We'll go 20 seconds each side on the 90-90 stretch, okay? So those are the 3. You can pause the video right now if you want, set a 6-minute timer and go through that power core mobility. Once you're done with that, then you'll set your timer for 12 minutes. And so we'll be getting into our strength piece now. So for 12 minutes, we're gonna go squat or a split squat, and our range is 8 to 12. And that just kind of depends on where you're at in the week of the program and how much weight you're using, if you're doing body weight or if you've got weight to increase the load and intensity. If you're increasing your load and intensity, maybe you're shooting for 8 reps. If you don't have as much load and intensity, then and your RPE scale is maybe a little bit lighter, sitting at like a 7 or so, then you can go to those 12 reps. So a normal squat, right, where we've got our feet hip distance apart, gripping the floor with our toes, driving my knees out, reaching my hips back into a nice comfortable position, and then from here, I'm gonna spread my feet through the floor to pull myself or push the floor away from me and stand up tall and tight. always make sure we come back into this full completion where I'm squeezing my glutes and quads. I don't want to stop here. I want to bring my hips all the way through, squeeze tight, and then I can go back down into another squat, spread my feet through the floor, stand up tall and tight. Okay, so if you have some load, you can add some load in a kettlebell goblet hold here, or if you have a dumbbell, you can hold a dumbbell, whichever you prefer. If you're just doing body weight and you want ways to increase the intensity a little bit, then slow down and give yourself a 3 count to get down and a 3 count to go up. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, back up, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, all the way back up to tall. So you could do 12 slow and controlled squats like that. Or we can also do a split squat. So you'd be in that split stance where both legs are in a 90-degree angle. I like to start at the ground because you get better footing. Grip your toe into the floor, front and back. And then from here, I'm gonna keep my torso in a nice straight line as I come straight up. Notice I don't wanna lock this front leg out, keep a slight bend. And then I'm gonna come down, kiss that knee off the ground, and back up, okay? So we can do 8 to 12 split squats on this leg, making sure we're staying on our railroad tracks and not on a tightrope, right? That gets a little difficult. We want to stay hip distance apart, straight up, straight down, okay? So we can do 8 to 12 on one leg here, and then 8 to 12 on the other leg here. Again, you can do body weight, you can add some load, you can slow the movement down to increase the intensity a little bit, up to you. And then we've got either a bent over row or prone tees. Again, we're choosing one of these exercises to use. So if you chose the squat, I want you to stick with the squat for the whole amount of the program. If you're choosing a bent over row, we're gonna stick with that. If you're choosing prone tees, we're gonna stick with that. So bent over row, we're going to hinge back. So I'm standing tall and tight, feet are right underneath my hips, hinging back in a nice stacked position. I can adjust my feet a little bit if I need to, making sure my core is turned on and nice and tight. I'm not just arching my back into this position. I have to start tall and tight, keep everything intact. Everything goes back in my bent over row, and then I can grab my weight and row one arm at a time, or we can do both, and it's 8 to 12 here as well. Another good way, if we don't have weight, or we've got shoulder stuff going on or something, we can lay on our stomachs and do our prone tees. So biggest thing in the prone tees is to make sure that nothing on my body is moving but my shoulder blades pinching together and then dropping back down. So I want my toes to stay engaged onto the floor. So I'm not just laying back flat where my feet are like this. I want my toes tucked underneath me. I'm gonna be face down on the floor. Arms are straight out. So notice my toes, they're grounded into the floor. Squeeze your glutes so you keep your hips and your butt nice and stable. Thumbs are pointing towards your head. Head rests on the floor. Pull up, pinch your shoulder blades together, and then drop it back down. Up, pinch, back down. Try to avoid letting your arms come forward where you're getting into those traps and shoulders. You almost want to pull them back and down and pinch your shoulder blades, drop them back down to the floor. Pinch your shoulder blades, pause for a second, drop them back down to the floor, okay? So that is going to be there. Again, probably 8 to 12 prone shoulder tees, and you'll feel a little bit of a burn in between your shoulder blades in there. That's okay. That means that you're doing it right. And then we'll finish off with those quadruped hip cars. So hands and knees. You're gonna grip the floor with your hands, grip the floor with your toes, and I'm gonna bring my leg, my foot, straight up to begin with, right? So straight up, and then rotate it around all the way through that hip joint, nice and controlled, and then back through, nice and slow, controlling that joint through the socket. If you really want to get intense, you can throw a glass of water on your low back, and that will make sure that your hips stay flat and controlled as you rotate through that hip joint. If your glass of water drops, that means your hips are moving a little bit too much in your joint. You're not allowing your joint to do some work for you there. So that is the strength piece. So go ahead, you can pause the video, hit 12 minutes on your timer, and go through those 3 movements for 12 minutes, and then record how many sets you get in of those. Probably about 3, maybe a little over 3 in that amount of time, depending on what you're doing, if you're doing a split squat or regular squat. So that's our strength piece. All right, and now I'm gonna talk about our assistance piece. So again, we've got 2 things here. We're gonna be working for 6 minutes. So you'll set your clock for 6 minutes. We're gonna do 20 seconds, or excuse me, we're gonna do double leg hip bridge for 20 of them. Okay, so double leg hip bridge, you're gonna be on your back. Your feet are gonna be closer to your butt here, and then your head is gonna rest on the floor. First thing, start with connecting your low back to the ground. So I don't want to be arched out where I can have a whole hand through my low back. I want to rotate my pelvis, pull it up towards the ceiling, and connect my low back to the floor. And I'm going to keep this all connected as I push through my heels to bridge my hips up and squeezing my glutes. I'm using my hamstrings as well to drive myself up. Back up, pause, down, squeeze, pause, and down. So I'm going to do 20 of them at about this pace. So they don't need to be fast, they need to be intense and controlled. When I move, pause, back down. Okay? So we'll do 20 double leg hip bridges, and then we'll do a lateral bear crawl. A couple options on the bear crawl. If we're not quite ready to lift our knees off the ground, that's fine. We can stay hands and knees, but we're going side to side. So it's still opposite, so my right hand and my left knee are gonna move in the same direction, and then my other side will come together. So my hands go apart, and then they come together. Apart, together, apart, together. Okay, so bear position would be hovering your knees off the ground. So now I'm kind of in slightly like a tall plank position with my shoulders, but instead of going straight out with my legs are in a bent 90 degree, and my knees are hovering off the ground, and then I can crawl side to side, like so, back and forth, okay? Again, trying to avoid your hips rotating back and forth too much, and we're gonna go 8 steps one way, and then 8 steps back the other way, okay? And then you can rest a little bit if you need to, and then you'll go right into 20 double leg hip bridges, and then we'll go 8 steps one way, 8 steps the other way in the lateral bear crawl, all right? So for 6 minutes, when your timer goes off, you can record how many rounds you got through those 2 movements, and then take a little break, get some water, and then we'll go into our conditioning piece, okay? So again, you can get your phone to record your time. We're going to be going 5 rounds of our conditioning piece. We'll be doing 5 rounds of 20 seconds of work and 20 seconds to rest. So we've got a skater jump and a fake jump rope. You can go skater jump, just like we did at the start there, where you're jumping and stick. Push and stick, push and stick, push and stick. Or we can fake jump rope, okay? So you can alternate between the 2 of them, or you can just do the one for 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off, your choice. On that, but we're gonna be 5 rounds of 20 seconds of work, 20 seconds to rest, okay? So good little kind of conditioning heart rate there at the end to finish out your workout. And then our last and final piece, we're gonna recover with a little 90-90 hip stretch, and then some upper and lower rolling. Give yourself 60 seconds on each one, 60 seconds on each side of the 90-90 stretch, okay? So I'm here. Again, 90-90, I should be able to see both legs in 90 degree. Sit up nice and tall, turn and face my forward knee, and I can lean into it if I want. I can come all the way down. I can turn just a bit and fall down this way if you have that flexibility and mobility. Hang out for 60 seconds, okay? So pause here, and then go to your other side for 60 seconds. And then finish with some lower and upper rolling on each side. If you have a foam roller, you can grab that. And I like to do stickers slow, so I sit up nice and tall. One leg is straight, kind of lean towards that side, and I just start to roll everything up nice and slow until I feel like I'm gonna roll off my foam roller, and then I can get back up and roll again. So I can do 5 on this side and then 5 on the other side, okay? But give yourself some time to just cool down and stretch before you attack the rest of your day after your workout. All right, you guys, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to send me a quick email as far as questions go on the program. Have fun, enjoy, you guys are gonna do great, and I can't wait to hear about it. All right.